That VLOOKUP topic seems to drive everybody crazy. On the certification test, you'll need to be able to use a VLOOKUP table to get the correct field to put into your spreadsheet, but you don't have to create one from scratch. Now, I happen to think that's not very useful to you in the real world if you only know how to use it if somebody else made it, because you're going to be the big shot in the office and you'll need to know how to make one. But first, let's just start with this. Let's say that we have some young ladies who wear a certain ring size, and we have some sizes of small, medium, and large rings, and these are specific values of rings. They're not a range. Well, they are a range, but they also have values. So if you have specific values, it's really easy. It's just a match. And if you have a range, then it's a little bit harder, and we'll talk about that. But once you know the rules, it's fine. So what you're going to do is make a table where the thing you're looking up is on the left, and the thing you're returning back to the spreadsheet is on the right. You have column 1 and column 2. And the name of the command is VLOOKUP. You can also go sideways. In that case, it's horizontal lookup, HLOOKUP. And there are three parts, three arguments on this function. The first argument is in which cell are you going to look something up, and we're going to look up the value in here, B3. Take this value in B3 and go to the VLOOKUP table and look it up. And then when you get there, then the second part of the function is what is the size of the VLOOKUP table, and you have to use absolute cell references on this, or else you'll end up looking up things outside the table where there where there isn't anything. And the third part is what do you return back to the spreadsheet, and you're going to return the value in column 2 back to the spreadsheet. So I took this size 8 and I came over here and said, is that an 8? Nope. Is that an 8? Nope. Is that an 8? Yep. Okay, what's the value in column 2? Take that value and stick it back in typically a different cell. Each one of the components of the VLOOKUP are separated by commas. And when you type the command, you'll see it all comes out in colors to make it easier for you. So I wrote the rules here. Check the source value in B whatever, and then in column 1 of the table, find the value that's less than the next higher value. So we might have a size 10 here, then it's an extra large, and so it would go 4, nope, 6, nope. So let's say it was a size 9 ring. Size 8, nope, size 9 ring, and it would get to a size 10, and that would be an extra large. So you go until you find a higher value, then you stop and go back 1. So here are the values for each of these cells. You're going to look up in B3 in the table and return the value in column 2. I mean, for our purpose, it's always going to be a 2 in that second, the third part of the VLOOKUP. And the second part of the VLOOKUP is always an absolute cell value of the size of your little lookup table. So those two are all the same. And then the only thing that changes is the one that's going to change for each row. And don't put absolute cell reference on that. So you only have to write it once, make sure it works, and then fill down. It's so easy like that. But see what happened here? I gave you an example. This one's value 3. It's not in the table. The first value is 4, so it said, oh, too big. Let's go back 1. Oops, there's no back 1. Now, if we'd had a smaller size, like a size 2, that's an extra small, say. If we had that, then this one would have come out to extra small. If you get the hang of it once, you have to do several. You have to do several. So you should, pause this. You got the picture in front of you. Go make the same thing by yourself. Here's another example. These are students having scores. So here's their score, and we want to say what letter grade they got from the score. And here's our table. You have to, and their ranges, you have to start from the lowest number and go up. And then the breaks occur at the bottom of each range. So a D is the 60s. So the bottom of the range of the 60s is a 0, just like the bottom of the range of the E's is a 0, and the bottom of the C's is a 70. Okay, so start from the lowest number and go up. Break your lines of your table are at the bottom of each range, and then you keep analyzing up until you find a higher number, then drop back one level. So this time what we have is, I'm going to zoom in on this. Hold on just a second. Okay, so what I'm going to do is zoom in a little bit. I think it'll be easier. So nice big numbers. So we want to look in this column A, B, C. Okay, A, B, B. Column B, the student got 67, and we want to see what grade that is. And so the formula is, I use the formula text function to get that to show up. So we'll say look in cell B12, and then take that value and go over to our little table, which happens to be in F12 to G16 with absolute cell reference, and start at the bottom. And you have is it a 0? No, it's bigger than a 0. So go to the 60. Is it bigger than a 60? Yes. Is it bigger than a 70? Oops, no. So go back into the 60s and take that value that's in column 2, which is a D, and stick it back in that cell. So here you look again at that formula. Vlookup, take B12, look it up in the table, return the value in column 2. Do one more. Let's do the A. Here, this person had an A. So come over here and look in the 0 row. Is it bigger than a 0? Yes. Drop down. Is it bigger than a 60? Yes. Drop down. Is it bigger than a 70? Yes. Drop down. Is it bigger than an 80? Yes. Drop down. Is it bigger than a 90? Yes. Drop. Ooh, there's no place to drop. Well, guess that's it. At the risk of one more, let's do 80. Is it bigger than a 0? Yes. Is it bigger than a 60? Yes. Is it bigger than a 70? Yes. Is it bigger than an 80? And I'm going to say yes. Is it bigger than a 90? Nope. So drop back and do the 80. But it was an exact match in that particular case. So there's I can't get to it from there. There's another example over here. I don't want to belabor this, but I made several more for you. But I'm going to let you agonize over them. Look, there's a whole bunch of them there for you. And then I left several for you to try. Because finally, if you can't make it for yourself, then I think we didn't accomplish our goal. And down here on the second spreadsheet, I also made a wrong example where, let me see, what did I do on this one? These were, this one, they didn't get sorted in order. And so that's going to be hard to work with. And in this one, the student hand typed the costs in each cell. This was an actual student's assignment that they did. And then on this one, let's see, equals 20 times the VLOOKUP over here in the kid service. This one, it's not done as a range, so they're going to have to look up each one individually. And here, they didn't find the value, so nothing will show up. then you have to put them in order. Well, anyway, that's wrong example. Okay, so you look at the rest of these and you play with it and then go try and make some of your own at the bottom.